Check one, check two, we're live. Hey, check. Hey, check. Hey, check. Hey, check. We're live. I think. Kick it. Welcome to the program, everybody. Today is December 4 in the year 2023. Looks like 26 days left in the year. And then we're out of here. We're totally out of this year. And then we'll be on to a new year where everything is promised to be better. It's always better next year. Welcome to the program. Hey, man, how are you, man? How's everybody doing? Morning, everybody. Good morning to the program. Bada-boom. Good morning to the program. How you doing? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the program. Today is, as I said, today is Monday, December 4, and we gotta keep talking about. I was walking around this weekend. I was thinking to myself. This is what I walk around thinking. Bias. What is bias? In fact, I was reading something about bias and different types of bias. Is bias escapable, or is it an inescapable phenomena? In other words, when you look at something, right, is it unique to your view, right? And everybody else has a different view. Some people see black, some people see white. Some people see up, people see down, right? Some people see right, and some people see wrong. And we're all looking at the same situation. All right, so is bias inescapable? Well, it's on display in our media. I was watching a clip, and I'm going to show it to you. Dana Bash over at CNN interviews the good Pramila Jayapal, Representative Jayapal. And you see the bias in terms of this war, right? The war in Israel is incredible bias, incredible. Hamas is Israel army right now is flattening Gaza. There's nobody. It's unlivable. They've shut off the water. They've blown up the streets, the tunnels, the undergrounds. A total demolition site, for lack of a better way to explain it. Right, explosion sites. So people are running left, right, and center. And the media, CNN, is talking about a woman who was raped by Hamas crazies weeks ago, right? As if to say that this rape that occurred many, many weeks ago justifies Israel killing hundreds, thousands of people, calling a ceasefire and continuing to bomb the shit out of them, right? That's bias. There's something wrong there that you're not seeing. That your one war crime, committing a war crime to prevent a war crime is a war crime in itself, right? You're continuing the cycle of killing and suffering and all these other things. But anyway, we'll look at that. Those stories. Vinny Martini in the house. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Champs in the house. Weevil Girl is here. Jim Gerard as well. David Brown. I said your name twice. Champs. All right, man. So welcome to the show, and we'll talk about these fine subjects. This is my thumbnail today. There's Jayapal, Miss Jayapal. We all know her, love her. She's part of the squad. At times you hate her. Right, our bias, right? We look at her and say, oh, it's fucking lefty, But listen, when you see the interview with her on CNN, and if your eyes are open and you see what's going on in Israel, you have no other choice but to at least agree mostly with what she's saying. As opposed to Dana Bash, who is probably covering an earpiece, listening to some jerk off, tell her what to say. Oh, no, don't let her get away with saying that Israel is a fucking terrorist organization or something like that, right? She's being coached and pushed, and her bias is on display. So we're going to look at that. It's important because Jayapal is an elected official in America. She's pushing back on a very, very strong religious lobby in Washington, the Jew lobby. The Jewish lobby in America is causing ethnical problems abroad. Do you see the connection there? The Jew in his mind is that Israel is the Jewish state. That's his view, her view, as opposed to it being both of their countries, Palestine and such. So these incredible biases, are they escapable? Are we forever condemned to our inability to see the other's opinion? Maybe. I don't know, man. I think there's a solution. But, anyway, my name is Marcus, and this is Marcus in the Morning. Every morning at 9 a.m., Monday through Thursday, we're live, and we're kicking these subjects as we come into a fascinating election year. We've got Donald J. Trump, the former president, running with 91 felony convictions against him that were imposed by the opposition party, the Democrats, and Joe Biden, 81 years old, who can't even stand up anymore, doesn't know what he's saying. Well, he does. He knows kind of what he's saying, but it's old man talk. He's talking about, fucking soldier ponies and whatever he's talking about. I don't know. But maybe we'll see it when we're 81. But fascinating times we live in. Markets are looking to open down significantly this morning. Looks like NASDAQ 100 is down. The futures are down 116. I'm not sure what the Dow is. Dow futures. Dow futures down 143, and S&P 500 down 26. NASDAQ futures down 116. So we're going. It looks like a little lower open. Wish I would have known that Monday. Anyway, but here we go. So I'm going to stop saying that. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Living in regret, I guess. I don't know, or something like that. Yeah. Let's start here. So, top archaeologist. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Top archaeologist reveals real reason behind curse of the pharaohs. Curse of the pharaohs. What is the curse of the pharaohs? Well, it is believed that if you crack open a esophagus, or whatever the fuck it's called, the thing that they bury the pharaoh in, like the tomb, right? If you open the tomb and expose the mummy, you're certain to die. Right? It's the curse of the pharaohs. Well, it turns out, some scientist says, a top archaeologist recently explained the curse of the pharaohs, which had supposedly caused the demise of those who dared to disturb the ancient tombs, was actually a simple case of built-up germs. So you open up the casket and boom, you get hit with germs, 7,000-year-old germs. Maybe you're getting hit with something, but I don't think it's germ. I think could be a poison. It could be some sort of poison, but how does a germ survive? Germs can't survive 7,000 years in a fucking, in nothing, right? It needs water. It needs light, right? Germs need to thrive. Does the germ lie dormant and then suddenly pop open? Well, that's not what pop out. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that the germ, after like even 30 minutes, clears out of the tomb, and then you can go in there and there's no problem. But I don't know. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying the. First of all, I'm not buying the. I would buy the curse of the pharaoh. Like, you did something fucked up. You dug up a dead guy. Way more than some germ survived 7,000 years or however many years, and then and kills people when you open the box. It doesn't make sense, right? There's no scientificness to any of it. When you have a mummy inside a tomb, this mummy has germs that you cannot see, he said, the archaeologist. The archaeologists in the past, they were in a hurry, and they entered inside the tombs, and they were hit by germs, and they died. Well, The curse of the pharaohs. Curse of the pharaohs is still a mystery, right? I don't know. I'm not buying the germ theory. Not buying it. I think that it's like look, after 7,000 years, it's like rock. It's like exploring petrified wood and rock. There's no fucking germ in there. There's no deadly germ. So anyway, man, science got that shit wrong, man. You should be worrying about the curse, right? Because stop digging up dead people. How about that? So let's go with bias, right? So here's I'll try to refrain from my own bias, but I'll do it anyway. Here's some fat chick beating up a little kid, Muslim girl fight, right? Big fat, overgrown fucking adolescent kid, right? Kid's probably 13 years old, right? And she's beating on another 13-year-old who's literally half her size. And then someone rescues her. Let's watch the fight. This is going on in a school near you. Watch. Kids laughing. Ha ha ha, it's funny. This fat bitch. Punch again. It's foul, right? And here we go. To the rescue. Dun, 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 dun. Now it's an even fight. Two fat chicks beating the shit out of each other, right? Whoa. So she got a good ass kicking, that's for sure. Wow. You got your ass kicked, bitch. Oh, man. That shit is crazy, right? That's crazy, right? So who's wrong? Who's right? There's got to be somebody right. Was it Muslim motivated? Was the fat bitch beating on the little kid because she was a Muslim? And then someone points out that the girl that stepped in was black. All right. It's crazy that's going on in schools right now, right? I don't know. What do we see? Do we see? I see obesity. At least twice, very fat women, fat females, all right, and definitely violence. I see violence in the schools. I don't know, man. I don't know. So let's look at these biases, right? This is a list, Chat GPT, which is incredibly biased in itself, is going to offer us some definitions of bias as we look at the coverage of the Israeli war. You can't even call it a war. Calling it a war is bias in itself because it's not a war. It's like, see, Israel is like the fat girl in the video beating the shit out of some skinny little nobody. Right? It's. I wonder if she's a Jew, the fat girl. And then someone comes in from left field. That's the international community to shut Israel down. All right, I guess. But confirmation bias, right? Tendency. I'm not going to go through all of them, but ChatGPT, upon asking, listed 17 different types of bias. 17 different types of bias. You can be biased in at least 17 different ways. Did you know that? Tendency to favor information that confirms pre-existing beliefs or values. Well, that's not bias. That's common sense. Favoring information that confirms your beliefs, what you already know to be true. Is that bias? Well, it is if you disagree with the belief, but it's unbiased if you believe in the belief. Right? See the problem there? Selection bias occurs when the sample used in a study or analysis is not representative of the entire population, leading to skewed results. Well, I just used a study today with one fat girl beating up a kid, a little skinny kid, and another fat girl equal to the size of the fat girl doing the beating comes in and rescues the situation. Now, I did pick that video. Am I biased for picking the video? It's entertaining, right? That's all. It's the only reason I pick it. I see two kids, I say to myself, what's going on in the schools? And they're beating the shit out of each other. Is that bias? No, it's fucking, it is. It's human nature. It is what it is, right? It catches your attention. It caught my attention. Cognitive bias, systematic patterns of divination. Fuck you. Gender bias, preference or prejudice towards one's gender over the other. Okay, yeah. Cultural bias. How could you not be culturally biased? How could you not be culturally biased, right? Anybody who says, for example, make America great again is, according to this definition, would be cultural bias. Certain cultural practices, values, or norms which can influence judgments and decisions. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, right? Or the MAGA crowd, right? It's all bias. Ageism, right? How could that little kid know anything? He's too young. Or look at that old man, right? I engaged arguably in ageism by calling Joe Biden out for being 81 years old and not knowing where he is running the country. So ageism, implicit bias is when you do it unconsciously. Oh, of course. I was biased and I didn't know it. Right? That's a crock of shit right there. Ethnocentrism. Belief in the inherent superiority of one's own ethnic group or culture. Yeah. Stereotyping, affinity bias, right? Availability bias, anchor bias. Reliance on, that's a good one, anchoring bias. Reliance on the first piece of information encountered when making decisions, even if it is irrelevant or of minimal importance. Well, I would say the anchor news, that's bias, because a lot of people just watch something like CNN once. They watch it and they hear it. They say, oh, Trump's a criminal, boom. And now they can't see it any other way. They see Trump, they see criminal because some anchor told them that. and on and on and on. Groupthink, political bias, of course it's in there. Are these things escapable? Are they preventable? I don't know. So let's look at, God damn, market's going down. Look at this thing going down. Tanking. Motherfucker. Should have held that position. Anyway. Hell on earth. Hell on earth. Israel launches 10,000 airstrike in Gaza. 700 people reported killed in past 24 hours. Holy smokes. What's going on in Israel? I thought there was a ceasefire. I thought the Jew was going to respect the Palestinians' right to survive. Instead, they're creating hell on earth. They're blowing the fucking shit up. Blowing it up bad. Look at it. Look at it blowing up. Look at this. So Israel on Sunday unleashed its 10,000th airstrike on Gaza since the war began October 7th, with at least 700 Palestinians reported killed in the past 24 hours alone, as the war heats up again post-ceasefire. There is no ceasefire. It ain't happening, right? Hell on earth has returned to Gaza, said Jens Larkner, a rep for the United Nations. So Israel has vowed to continue to bomb the shit out of Hamas until all the female hostages kidnapped are freed. They claim Israel still is ongoingly claiming that they are killing Hamas commanders. Every time they drop a bomb, there's a reason for it. They're killing off. It's not just terrorism. They're not just terrorizing the people to get the fuck out of there so they can, pull out the backhoe and the steamroller and roll over everything and build a new city. That's not what's going on here. Genocide, kicking the people out, making them run for their lives by dropping bombs on their heads. It's we're killing off the opposition commandership, they're saying. Following IDF and intelligence, an IDF fighter jet struck and killed Hutham Kamamakajakaka, some Hamas guy, right? A couple of Hamas guys, right? Dropping bombs. The development came as the U.S. killed 5 militants in Iraq. What the fuck is the U.S. doing in Iraq, killing people? Why is the U.S. military killing people in Iraq right now? Why is that? Do you ever ask yourself, why? How come nobody's talking about Americans killing 5 people in Iraq? Why did America, in my name, kill 5 people in Iraq? I don't know. Because Iraq did something that deserves it, they say. Right? And to contradict that or to question that is your own bias. Is that you're a terrorist, and deeply inside you sympathize with terrorists, right? And you're anti-Semitic because you hate Jews, right? And you're racist for whatever reason. Pick one. Developments came as the U.S. killed 5 militants. I don't understand that. Why? What does that have to do with anything? The deadly airstrike attack by the U.S. was a self-defense strike. So while Israel is pummeling, destroying Gaza, look at this fucking place. Militant. While Israel's doing this to Gaza, the United States is off in Iraq killing people. Killing machine. Right? The Islamic resistance group in Iraq, which represents several groups tied to Tehran, one has nothing to do with the other, but they're making it have something to do with the other. Israel said that more than 400 targets in northern Gaza have been struck since Friday. So no ceasefire. They used the ceasefire to clear people out and drop bombs, right? Once the people cleared out, they started to bomb again, right? Or at least a lot of the people cleared out. Not everybody got the fucking email about clearing out. And they wound up killing hundreds more people, mostly kids and women. The men are already dead. Our policy is clear, says Israel. We will forcefully strike any threat posed against our territory. As of Sunday, Gaza has reported an estimated 1,550 Palestinians dead, mostly women and children. Israel government, far too many people have been killed in this war. They're still pointing to the 1,200 people killed in Israel a month ago. That started the whole thing. So it's not pretty, man. It's not pretty. Total of 66 Jewish soldiers have died. A lot of death. Let's watch this report. Israel expands ground assault on Gaza.
More evacuations in the southern part of Gaza and says it has now expanded its ground offensive to every part of the Gaza Strip. Many Palestinians say they're running out of places to go. ABC's Tom Soufi-Burridge reports from Israel and a warning that some of the images may be difficult to watch.
Tonight, Israel expanding its assault on Gaza. For the first time, confirming its ground forces are now operating.
Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing in our name. They're in their own name, Israel. They're just, this is barbaric. This is insane. This is not military. This is neighborhoods and buildings where people live with their children, blowing them up.
In every area
for something that a bunch of kooks did months ago, right? Well, we did the same thing. When our buildings got knocked down, 9/11. How many fucking Iraqis do we kill? Or how many people in Afghanistan do we kill? Right? Thousands, tens of thousands. Right? For our 3,000 person loss, we killed a million.
The Strip, including the south. Massive missile strikes as Hamas fired rockets into southern Israel. The Israeli military claiming it hit hundreds of terror targets in northern and southern Gaza this weekend.
We see here a fighting tunnel of Hamas.
A fighting tunnel, not an escape pod for people in a hospital, maybe? How do you know it's a fighting pod? A fighting fucking... You don't know.
15 meters deep. Right outside a school.
Total bias in the reporting, right? They have to call it that, right? Or the video is not going to be allowed to be seen. Remember, Israel Army is controlling all the video that you see. You're not going to see anything else.
Entire residential blocks destroyed. The UN.
You're not gonna. Let me take that back. You're not going to see what might really be happening, right? What has been edited out, right?
Says.
Because when you blow up something like this, there's a lot of dead bodies on the ground, right? There's parts. You'll find heads. You'll find legs. You'll find arms, right? You'll find fucking, kids blown to pieces of kids blown up. You'll find all of that in this kind of wreckage.
Hundreds buried in the rubble. Wounded rushed through the streets.
Horrible.
The Hamas-run health ministry calling today one of the deadliest days of the war. More than 700 killed since the ceasefire collapsed Friday.
It's horrible. It's just a horrible thing they're doing. They're bombing these people. Bombing them. For what? For what? Because...
Little Saeed, covered in
Politics.
dust, kissing his lifeless brother Mohammed, refusing to stop as they zip the body bag around him. Saeed pleading, "Bury me with him."
It's
And
horrible.
the cries of wounded children echoing through this hospital. Israeli officials now expanding evacuation orders in the south. Nearly 2 million people have fled, seeking safety. But Israel strikes
2 million people on the run in Gaza. 2 million civilians running. Where? Where are they going to go? To the fence where Israel troops are and shoots them? Where are they going to go? To Jordan, where there's no food, there's a fucking desert? They're screwed.
King there too. Residents in Khan Yunis.
I told you a month ago that the death toll is going to be astronomical. You get 1 million people maybe. Right? Big, a lot of people are going to die here. It ain't over yet.
Running for cover. UNICEF saying nowhere is safe.
Children with shrapnel, with third-degree burns, with broken bones, with head injuries. Those were children who were meant to be in a safe place.
With the death toll mounting, the US warning Israel if it doesn't protect Palestinian civilians, support for Hamas could grow.
You think, let me, it chokes me up. But do you think that, just think for a second, if this was you, sitting on this pile of blown up crap, and you know that the people shooting these rockets just killed your mother, your father, your sister, your other 3 brothers, they're all dead. And you're sitting there in a pile of fucking ashes, right? Do you think that this kid is ever going to forget that? Is ever going to forgive the troops that did this and the superpower money that supported it, aka United States? Hell fucking no. Right? No way. This is the cycle of violence. You implanted that shit right in this kid, right? By killing off his family and his life and his culture, trying to eradicate his fucking everything about him. Right, almost killing him. Maybe he might not even live. Maybe that is the end game. But he'll never forget. These kids will never forget that. Right. That's what war is. It's a cycle. Right?
Palestinian civilians, support for Hamas could grow.
And if you drive them into the arms of the enemy, you replace a tactical victory with a strategic defeat.
And Vice President Kamala Harris also not mincing words.
Too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
Tonight, the fate of
Well, that was honest, Kamala Harris.
130 hostages still uncertain. Protests in the streets of Israel. We spoke with Lee Siegel, his brother Keith, one of 8 Americans in captivity. Keith's wife, Aviva, was released days ago.
Her first sentence.
All right, celebrate the Jew being released. That's good, right? And kill fucking kids. Leave them in the street burning.
I went through hell. No freedom. Not knowing when their next meal is coming.
And above all else, you want another pause in the fighting.
We want whatever needs to be done quickly to allow Keith and all the hostages to be returned.
That's the hope of so many.
Yes. So what else can we find out about
Tonight, Tom Sufi Burge joins us now.
What kind of bias is this? Is this anchor bias?
Tom, with the fighting resumed, what kind of pressure is Israel getting from the international community to protect civilian life?
Yeah, Israel is under increasing pressure, Lindsay, from the US and other allies, with France, the UK, Spain and Belgium publicly expressing concern or even criticism. Israel promising it will make the maximum effort to safeguard Gaza's civilian population.
So he's saying that the international community is waving its big finger at Israel, saying, you better not kill a lot of people. Right? Don't kill so many people. Let's be nice now in this war. And while but they don't cut off Israel's funding or access. They don't what do you call boycott Israel, right, or sanction Israel for war crime. No, they just say, the international community is warning Israel to roll it back a little bit, please.
Lindsay?
Tom, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Tom on the ground. So here's the big story. Rep Pramila, now that you've seen all this backdrop, Pramila Jayapal slammed after demanding balanced criticism when asked about Hamas rapes in heated interview. So over the weekend, it was revealed that some pretty woman got raped at that rave. A bunch of animalistic Hamas soldiers gang raped her, killed her. Right? This is what happens in war. Right? It's not, none of it is justifiable, but it doesn't rise to the level of dismantling a country with millions of innocent people. Right? It's not the same. It's an isolated event that you have to deal with, right? Not blow up the whole country, right? But so CNN anchor has this thing planted in her head. What about the women? She's trying to make it a anti-woman attack, right? When Israel is in the process of killing thousands of kids, right? So we'll look at the whole interview. Pramila Jayapal was slammed by both Democrats and Republicans. Not really. I don't care who she was slammed by. We'll watch the interview and we'll see for ourselves. Jayapal, chair of the Progressive Caucus, quickly condemned the sexual violence. Well, let's just watch the interview and we'll see. You'll see. Here's Dana Bash, the extremely unequivocally biased Dana Bash, works for CNN, six-figure income. Let's look at the market. What time are we open? And we're open. Hold on a second. Let's go to the markets and then we'll look at the interview. So the market is open down. NASDAQ down 137, Dow down 98, and the S&P 500 down 28. So what's driving it down? NVIDIA down 9 to 458 a share. Google down 250 to 130. Apple 189 down $1.62 today. Amazon down $2. Meta, formerly Facebook, down 8.5. Microsoft down 6. Tesla down 2.5. So there's some technology pressure there. Rivian down 8 cents. What else? Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, in the light of all this new war and expansionism into Israel, flat this morning. Lockheed Martin up 5 cents, Raytheon up 3 cents, Boeing down $1.88. They're kind of up. These two are up in a down market. It's maybe a little revealing, but not really. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna. Those are your holy vaccine stocks mixed right now. Johnson & Johnson up, Moderna down a little. So we've got a down open. I wouldn't count on it staying down. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think we're up high. I think we're up pretty high. And it does look like there's some selling pressure on the NASDAQ right now. We'll see if it holds here and it could bounce back up. It could go right back up again. Who knows? December stuff, right? And so what else we got? Yeah, so let's watch this interview. Dana Bash and
with the collapse
Ms.
of the
Jayapal.
temporary truce between Israel and Hamas, here in the U.S., Democratic divisions over the direction of the war and Biden's support for Israel are once again on full display. Here with me now is House Progressive Caucus Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you in person. Let's start with where we are right now with the war. The White House says very clearly that Hamas is to blame for the collapse of this temporary truce for a few reasons. One is that they refused to release the remaining women, some of whom, sounds like most of whom are 20 to 30-year-old women. They're hostage inside Gaza. They also renewed the military attacks against Israel. You have repeatedly called for Israel to implement an indefinite ceasefire. But given what we have just seen with what I just described, is that realistic?
Well, it's what has to happen, and I do think it's realistic. I think what we saw.
So let's just recap. Jayapal is being asked, should there be a ceasefire? And she's saying, absolutely, there should be. Right? no doubt.
Is after, many weeks of saying we couldn't get to a ceasefire, that was not going to happen. We did have a temporary ceasefire, and what happened? We were able to see a significant number of hostages released. We were able to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. And I think the long-term plan for what happens is incredibly important. Now you've seen Vice President Harris made a very strong statement yesterday. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also was very clear that if you engage in urban warfare in the way that Israel did in northern Gaza, what you will do is perhaps win a temporary victory or a reprieve, but you're not going to win the long-term strategic war. So the only way...
Right, because you're creating pockets of people that got terrorized, and it doesn't go away. They'll never forget. The people that Israel is bombing right now will never forget. This will come back. Karma is inescapable. This will come back to haunt Israel, and they have to be on guard now. They go build a bubble. Israel, they're going to have to build a bubble around themselves.
Way, Dana, to get through this is to make sure that we, first of all, do not have the kinds of casualties that we saw in northern Gaza. There's no way to do that with the kind of war that Israel is waging right now on Gaza.
Well, a couple of things. One is, you said it worked. Yes, there were hostages who were released, but it wasn't even an actual hard ceasefire. They were just trying to get another day, and Hamas wouldn't comply. So what makes you think that Hamas would comply with a longer-term ceasefire?
Well, I think this is all about negotiation. Qatar has been incredibly helpful here. It's not clear to me from the reporting who was to blame for...
you don't believe the Biden administration, that Hamas...
Well, I just think it's very complicated.
Young women?
I think it's very, very complicated. It's not... We don't have all the information in front of us. We obviously can rely on some statements that are made, but I think...
It's just, you see the bias. You see how CNN pushes in to try to frame the story as women being assaulted by Hamas rather than Israel bombing the shit out of men, women, and children for no reason, really.
I think that in these negotiations, everybody wants something. And I think Qatar has said that Hamas is still at the table. Israel should still be at the table. In fact, some of the hostages... the Israeli hostages are saying that Israel should still be at the table because this is complex negotiation, and it doesn't happen unless both sides are willing to come to some kind of an agreement. That's how we got the first 7 days.
That's a really important point about both sides being willing to come to an agreement, because regardless of what has happened last week, and let's just say there is a more permanent ceasefire, you are hearing from Hamas leaders over and over again that the brutal massacre of the 1,200 Israeli civilians was just the beginning, just a rehearsal, and that they want to continue to do it over and over again. So a ceasefire would keep that brutal terrorist regime in place in Gaza.
I don't think that's true. I think that what is true is that...
Right. It's not true.
Hamas needs to be taken out. It is a terrorist organization.
How would you do that?
But I think the way to do that, as many terrorism experts have said, is to create a durable and strong coalition of allies within the Middle East, with the United States, with Israel, to make sure that we have a long-term political solution, that there is an alternative to Hamas to lead in Gaza and to establish a state for Palestinians. This is, It's
not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Israel already has the plan. The plan is to flatten Gaza, get all the people to run and go somewhere, go to Jordan, or come back as servants, right, in their own land, right? There is no solution. The solution is genocide. That's what's happening, and it has been happening for 40 years.
We have to condemn what Hamas did on October 7th. We cannot allow for 15,000 Palestinians to date to have been killed, 3/4 of whom are women and children, and say that that is going to help us in the long term.
Listen,
morally, Dana, but also strategically for Israel. The only way through this is to create a situation where there is a political solution that involves a Palestinian state and an Israeli state.
I think ideally what you're talking about could make sense. It's just unclear how you get from here to there. Who's going to get rid of Hamas if there's no continued war? And I think what you're relying on is
Her solution, Dana Bash has said that the only way to get rid of Hamas is continued war. That's the psychology of it, right? Because the war is not here. The war is over there. If the war was on the Upper West Side where Dana Bash lives, and the bombs are blowing up all around her, then she would probably have a different tune. Right? She'd be singing a little differently.
From Arab states, and they haven't been willing to do that.
It's not just that. Well, part of the reason they haven't been willing to do that is because we have been allowing Israel to literally indiscriminately bomb hospitals, violate international humanitarian law, and so we are creating
even pre-October. Okay, even pre-October 7th. Can I just ask you one more thing about that? You have seen the information and intelligence that Hamas has used its own civilians. The death of civilians it's horrendous. But Hamas has used its own civilians as human shields. Those hospitals and so forth are places where Hamas keeps weapons and keeps its.
She's trying to remember the whole story, right? Right.
It's Hamas leadership that they have their headquarters there.
Dana, international humanitarian law says that you cannot attack a hospital unless there are some circumstances. If rockets are fired from that hospital, that is one thing. But hospitals are protected. We have had refugee camps that are bombed. Right now, there are even the only pediatric hospital in Gaza is not operating. If we want to defeat terrorists, we have to abide by international humanitarian law. That is just my fundamental belief. And that at the end of the day, what we need is a lasting coalition that is not going to be formed if Israel continues to do what they are doing. And the United States cannot be backers of this kind of indiscriminate bombing.
That's right, man. The United States could not be backers of this indiscriminate bombing. Let's go on. But we are.
That is my firm belief. And we should have conditions on military aid in the same way that we do for every other country.
I want to ask you about sexual violence. And it's kind of remarkable that this issue hasn't gotten enough attention globally. Widespread use of rape, brutal rape.
CNN, the level of hacking, and indiscriminate bias it's outstanding. She's not even thinking for herself. She doesn't even know what she believes. She's just repeating fucking lines on a index card. It's shocking. It's a shocking interview, really. How lost CNN is, or stuck in their own bias.
Sexual violence against Israeli women by Hamas. I've seen a lot of progressive women, generally speaking, they're quick to defend women's rights and speak out against using rape as a weapon of war, but downright silent on what we saw on October 7th and what might be happening inside Gaza right now to these hostages. Why is that?
I mean, I don't know that that's true. I think we always talk about the impact of war on women in particular. In fact, I remember 20 years ago, I did a petition around the war in Iraq.
Have you talked about it since October 7th?
Absolutely. And I've condemned what Hamas has done. I've condemned
specifically
all of
women?
the actions. Absolutely. The rape, of course. But I think we have to remember that Israel is a democracy. That is why they are a strong ally of ours. And if they do not comply with international humanitarian law, they are bringing themselves to a place that makes it much more difficult strategically for them to be able to build the kinds of allies, to keep public opinion with them. And frankly, morally, I think we cannot say that one war crime deserves another. That is not what international humanitarian law says.
Okay, with respect, I was just asking about the women, and you turned it back to Israel. I'm asking you about Hamas. In fact,
I already answered your question.
I already answered your question, bitch. Listen to that again. This is classic liberal bias, right? I asked you about one thing and you told me about something else. No. She answered your question and then went on.
The women, and you turned it back to Israel. I'm asking you about Hamas. In fact,
I already answered your question, Dana. I said it's horrific, and I
Okay.
think that rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations.
Correct.
Terrorist organizations like Hamas obviously are using these as tools. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the outrages against Palestinians. 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, 3/4 of whom are women and children.
And it's horrible, but you don't see Israeli soldiers raping.
Well, Dana,
You don't see it? How do you know? How do you know what the Israeli soldiers are doing, Dana? What are you over there? What are you over there on patrol?
I think we're not.
The Israeli soldiers are killing kids. When you drop a bomb on someone's head, they're killing them. It's crazy. It's crazy bias.
I don't want this to be the hierarchy of oppressions. I
Right.
think 15,000
Shouldn't
people
be.
have been killed.
It shouldn't be, and
Palestinians.
which is horrible.
And 2.2 million Palestinians live in a 140 square mile area, which is about the size of Las Vegas, with a population that is 4 times that of Las Vegas, and 1.8 million Palestinians right now are displaced.
1.8 million Palestinians displaced. Wow. That is staggering. That is staggering. Have you ever seen 1 million people in one place? 1.8 million people, nowhere to go.
They are living in shelters. They are being told to move to South Gaza, then South Gaza is being bombed. They're being told to move to North Gaza. There are no homes left. The vast
Does CNN even care? No. All they care about is one story from a month ago to promote it about some woman who got raped by a bunch of terrorists. But what Israel is doing right now in their own name, in their pseudo defense, and in our name with our money, is far worse. Right? Killing way more people than ever.
The vast majority of infrastructure has been destroyed. This is
The vast majority of the infrastructure in Gaza, says Jayapal, has been destroyed. All of the buildings are fucking broken and destroyed. And they keep pointing, yeah, we blew up the building because there was a tunnel under it. There was an escape pod in a hospital, right? If the hospital's being attacked, maybe that's where the doctors and the patients get, whooshed away. It's not necessarily military. They live in a military climate. So anyway.
It's not the way that we are going to beat terrorism, whether it's Hamas or some future iteration of Hamas.
On that note, I want to talk about what this means domestically for President Biden. You've warned that the way that the Biden administration, the president himself, is handling this war jeopardizes his support among progressives and Muslim American voters.
Absolutely it does. Right? All of the progressive, even TYT, and all the Bernie Bros and the Bernie-crats and all those people, right? The squad, they're not gonna support. The Black Lives Matter, the kids. They're not going to support Biden because of this situation. They see it. Young people see it.
And that they could actually stay home.
That's a big problem for an election.
Do you think that is, how big of a threat, political threat, is that to President Biden, in particular when it's possible, at this point probable, that Donald Trump would be his opponent? And he's not exactly warm when it comes to Muslims.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Look, I am a supporter of President Biden. I have been out there.
All right, so there you go. So I thought Jayapal did a good time. Good job. Now they're going to kiss and make up. I don't want to see that. I want to get to the truth here. The market is definitely. Oh my God! Look at this thing go down, man. Oh, fuck you, man. Anyway, so thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. I don't know, man. It's just bias, right? We can't see it any other way sometimes, right? America is engaging in a very, very bad war in the Middle East. It seems to move around from one spot to the other. First it's Afghanistan, then it could be Kuwait, it could be Iraq, could be Iran, wherever we feel like it, right? We blow people up in Pakistan, on the borders of India, right? That's what the U.S. does. Right now, we just killed 5 in Iraq. There's bias, right? Everywhere, and unsettledness in the Middle East doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Thank you for being here. Max Conte reporting.